My fellow Americans, my name is Paul Johnson, Florence, Kentucky. I'm an 81-year-old grandfather of three. My day job, I sell health and life insurance and Medicare products in Ohio, Kentucky, and Indiana. Once in a while, I get on my soapbox. And I'm on my soapbox today. My target is MSNBC and the world-class liar, Lawrence O'Donnell, who's on MSNBC from 10 to 11 weekdays. Most of you that watch the news are plugged in, who watch Fox News and listen to Rush Limbaugh, know of the controversy about Trump calling the MS-13 gang members animals. I heard Gorka, who was an advisor to President Trump, describe these fellows. He said in Mexico he was training some FBI fellows, and he said they were at some establishment, and the MS-13 gang members rolled severed heads on the dance floor. Now, these are people who, if we call them animals, we're insulting animals. Well, last night I was watching the crazies, as once in a while I want to do, and I watched old Lawrence, who's old enough to know better, and I want to tell you what my goal is. I want to see MSNBC and NBC banned from the White House press conference. I want them banned from every time that Trump shows up. I want to play for you what this jerk said last night and see what you think of it.
Some people into animals.
We have people coming into the country, trying to come in. We're stopping a lot of them. But we're taking people out of the country. You wouldn't believe how bad these people are. These aren't people. These are animals. And we're taking them out of the country at a level and at a rate that's never happened before.
Roberto Beristain worked his way up from a dishwasher at Eddie's Steak Shed in Granger, Indiana, until he could afford to buy the place, which he did. Roberto employed 20 people. He was a sponsor of the local Little League. He was married, raising a family, when he became one of the animals who Donald Trump talked about yesterday and was deported.
He was also an illegal.
Immediately claimed that the president was only talking about members of the gang MS-13, which is not true. He did not limit himself to gang members when he was describing animals yesterday. But today, he did.
MS-13, these are animals. They're coming into our country. We're getting them out. When the MS-13 comes in, when the other gang members come into our country, I refer to them as animals. And guess what? I always will.
Here's someone Donald Trump has never referred to as an animal. He is the white supremacist who was arrested for speeding his car into a group of people in Charlottesville, Virginia, who were protesting against white supremacists and Nazis. He was arrested and charged with murder after he drove his car into that crowd and killed Heather.
This, around the table on May the 16th, Trump had sheriffs from all over California. One of them was Sheriff Margaret. I think she's from Fresno. And MSNBC showed her picture, but they did not use her words. She mentioned, prior to Trump calling these jerks, these lowlifes, these scum of the earth people, animals, she had mentioned MS-13. Trump began, and you can go to the internet, just Google President Donald Trump holds urgent meeting on California sanctuary city policy. And you can see this lady, Sheriff Margaret of Fresno, you can hear her words. Now this jerk showed her picture, but never showed one word. These people are corrupt and dishonest, and they ought to be ashamed to live and afraid to die. Let me say that again. Lawrence O'Donnell and MSNBC ought to be ashamed to live and afraid to die. Now watch this jerk, Lawrence O'Donnell, and then watch the real story. Sarah Huckabee, I'm saying that you should put in this jerk's place in MSNBC's seat. How about putting the editor of the local paper where I was born in Pendleton County, Kentucky? Why not call the Falmouth Outlook and say, how would you like to have a seat formerly occupied by MSNBC? Call the Boone County Recorder, where I live. Ask to speak to the editor and say, how would you like to be our guest at the White House press conference? Throw these bums out. One more thing. God bless America, and God bless President Donald Trump big time.